Howdy guys, in our last episode we tamed every creature on the Ark. Wow. Other than these 19 aquatic creatures, so that's what we'll be doing today. But I'm completely out of resources from the last episode, so I'll quickly get back to where I was. I know 19 doesn't sound like too many, but I've never even explored the oceans in Ark, and I'm going into this pretty blind. By the end, we're going to be taming creatures you might not even have known existed in this game. Also, if this is your first time watching this and you enjoy it, consider hitting the subscribe button. We're getting really close to 2,000 subscribers, and I would love to make it there. I also need a place to put my new tames. I built this little area. I hope it isn't too small. Now I think I'm going to knock out one of the easy tames real quick. No pun intended. We can mark the Pelagornis off the list now. I'm gonna follow that up by heading to the swamp to get those tames done. Starting with the frog. I saw this little guy and tried to knock him out too, but the snake had other plans. But I got the frog, and I wanted to get the jump scare dino out of the way, but I guess you can't pick them up on a wyvern, so I had to do it the old-fashioned way. But it worked out better than Okay, explain how I'm not hitting it right now. After that, Capro could be marked off the list. Followed it up by grabbing the Capro's big brother. And these guys are really easy to tame on land because they're just so slow. Just stay out of jumping distance. And the Sarco is tame. Next, I'll grab one of my favorite tames. She's a low level though, so I can knock her out quickly. I followed up the Baryonyx with the Diplocallis. It's actually just sad shooting these guys, but Jesus, look at their face. On my way back, I stopped to search for an otter. They were kind of hard to spot, but pretty easy to tame. While I was looking for a Hesperornis, I accidentally threw my otter into the piranha-infested waters and had to pull off an emergency rescue mission. Luckily, the little guy did live, though. I went back, and after getting most of the land stuff out of the way, I was ready to move into the ocean. The dolphins are pretty easy to tame, and I planned on using them to get around and tame other creatures, so I tamed a few to breed. But when a few sharks started to approach me, I just said fuck it and skipped dolphin breeding for some sharks instead. But they were both pretty bad levels, so I searched some more and found a decent one and tamed him up instead. I bred up a baby shark and imprinted him. I named him Muncher because he takes after his father, as in me. While Muncher was growing up, I decided I was gonna tame a Spino. I shot him from up on this rock and thought I'd be safe up there. I wasn't. But look how lucky I got here, where I landed. That was pretty crazy. But I can cross Spino off the list. I then started the ungodly process of taming a Hesperornis. I wanted to pick it up and take it to a safer place, but it didn't seem like my wyvern could do that. If you didn't know, turning up taming speed doesn't even affect this Satan bird. So you have to bring it around 20 fish with a 30-second timer in between, and that's the ideal circumstance. Some fish don't even give 5%. I'd gotten the bird all the way up to 40% before it pissed off the saber-toothed salmon and reset its own taming effectiveness to 0. So I had to restart, and 20 minutes later it was done. I tamed a manta, but it was off camera on accident, so I had to tame up another one. Wasn't too bad, you just had to use bug spray. Maybe you can explain to me why that makes sense. I also followed it up with taming a plesiosaur. I just had to get him alone, and he was a pretty low level, so it was a pretty easy knockout. It's just hard to keep all the sharks away, which is my biggest criticism about the ocean in Ark. All there are predators and bad things that hunt you and kill you, when it should be full of a bunch of different fish and some predators, of course. But where are all the brontos and parasaurs of the ocean? Instead of having those things, I have to kill 30 sharks before I can do anything. Okay, rant aside, I decided I needed a basilosaur after the manta, so I wouldn't be worried about the eels and jellyfish. The entire tame I had to kite around the army of manta and sharks. It was like playing zombies. But after a while, I did in fact tame the whale. I knew I'd be using the basilo a lot, so I wanted to level her up. I found a mosa, and there's something very unsettling about it. I don't even have like thalassophobia or whatever, but it's unsettling seeing that thing. I start to trank it, and I guess I'm in a good spot because it doesn't seem to be able to get me. I used my whale as a punching bag, and it started running. I got a bit distracted and had to find it again, and then tried to continue to knock it out, but tragedy almost struck. And so I just changed my target and went for a Dunkleo instead. I got off my Tame for 20 seconds to turn around and see this. I hate the ocean in this game. I found the new one in the open ocean and began to trank it. I looked it up, and my crossbow actually does more damage than the trank spears and is way cheaper, so I used that. I did knock it out, but not without the entire ocean trying to kill me. After I committed genocide, I tamed the Dunkleo, and I wanted to tame a squid, but it wasn't interested for whatever reason. And I'm editing this and I just realized that I tamed an anglerfish and forgot to film it. So here's me getting a second one real quick. Easy tame. But I'm sure that won't happen again. Oh, wait. You're wondering how I got this squid. Whoops. Didn't film it either. Guess I'll have to get another one. The tame is pretty easy though. I just needed it to grab my shark and I gave it some pearls. After that, I found a low-level eel that I was trying to get alone. I fed it food once and it wasn't enough, but it was so close. I had it follow me for a little bit longer, then got it tamed. And wow, with only a couple more tames to go, I bet you think that little water area was getting packed. Well, I'll have you know, everyone fits perfectly. Right after that, I swam basically just out my front door and found a perfect low-level mosa to tame. I let my Basslow tank the hits just like last time, and it wasn't too bad. Last but not least is the Liopleurodon. It's like the unicorn of the ocean, and only one can be found on the map. And there's a specific area on the map that it can be found, and so my plan was to just swim up and down that area until I spotted one. If you didn't know, this guy you can only tame for 30 minutes, but it gives you a 6-hour effect that increases your loot drop rates. And what would you know? I found one and it only took about 35 minutes, which is kind of crazy. I left my shark behind so I can go up next to it without scaring it off. Oh my god. Oh my god. There it was. Finally completed. All the tames. Now let's see if it was worth it. Alright, so now I have a bunch of tames. I'm gonna need somewhere to keep them all. I guess I know what I'm doing next episode.